Everybody get your feet happy. Let's go. Come on.
Hello there. My name is Peace George. I am also known as the Sweet Pea. I am a speaker, a trainer, coach, author, a YouTube and podcast host, a member of the John Maxwell team, and this is the Fierce Federation. Here at the Fierce Federation, we help you to fight limiting beliefs, live with intentionality. We help you to express your gifts and your talent. We help you to recalibrate your mind, to build capacity, and of course, to live an excellent life. Today, I'd like to talk to you about recognizing your subconscious conditioning. It's important for you to recognize your subconscious conditionings because it's the beginning of you receiving your healing. Now, did you know that 50% of what you become is as a result of your past experiences? And if you do not realize how your past experiences has shaped you, you may become what you never want to become in your life. And this is what makes this talk here important. So if you were raised in a healthy way, I'd say congratulations. You were emotionally supported and all of that. How great. Why do I say that? Because you probably will not have so much of inner work to do, right? But if there's been something in your past that you're holding on to, it has conditioned you to some certain belief systems. It may affect you adversely. So why is it important for you to expand your awareness when it comes to your subconscious conditionings? Now, there are so many types of conditionings you have to be aware of. One of them is familial conditioning. With familial conditioning, whatever dysfunctions run in the family is put on a child, whether intentionally or unintentionally. And this is often done via repetitive words. You hear parents say stuff like, your father was terrible, or this is how your father's people behave, or you did badly, you're not good enough. Could be anything. Parents stressed out and just dish out stuff like that. But it's terrible for the child. Even sometimes children are stopped from exploring their own minds, probably because parents are trying to protect them from a certain harm that they've been through, and you just cannot project that fear on your child without even knowing it. I mean, you think about it. There's so many things you don't do just because your parents don't do it. I don't know. I hope that sounds good. Careful the way you're raising your child. There are some things you're saying repetitively that could hurt your child. The second type of conditioning that I want to talk about is the religious or spiritual conditioning. And I say this as a minister, okay? We have this thing everywhere. Many of us have been raised to participate in a certain way. For instance, I'm a Christian. And what I always say to people is that some things are more important than the other. Priorities. Prioritize God instead of prioritizing just being a churchgoer. We've been conditioned to believe that you're not a sinner if you come to church, but you're a sinner. But you're a sinner if you stay at home and talk to your God. And somehow we project that on other people. As my way or the highway. Look around you. You have a lot of preachers out there today talking more about hell and how you're going to go to hell and how you're going to go to hell as opposed to preaching the love of Christ. Positives, baby. Positives. Preach the love of Christ. Let them know how much the Father loves them. Or just balance it. Talk about God's love. That's what Jesus talked about throughout his ministry. The kingdom. The love of the Father. We don't hear that happening these days. I mean, I've spoken to a whole lot of people. I preached to them and they said to me, I don't want to be a Christian. And I asked why. They were like, my mom forced me to go to church. My dad used to beat me to pray, or all of those things. And they grew up just hating it. And to the glory of God, some of them we won back, some of them we're still praying for. But my point is, don't force it on them. Tell them about the love of God, or else you're going to condition them to becoming a zombie or just hating it altogether. The type of conditioning, this will be the third one, but not the last, of course. Educational conditioning. I've been worried about this one lately. I kid you not. I'm actually thinking of homeschooling my kids for this reason, and it's going to be a lot, but I'm really thinking about it. Even though the intention of the educational system was a good one, I believe that in real life, whatever they're teaching is different from whatever it is. I am one of those people who believe that educational system is one of those things that has watered down creativity in our world today. Because you have to think a certain way, you have to do something a certain way, you have to reason a certain way. We're just trying to break free from that, okay? So much conditioning out there in the world, guys. We need to wake up and be aware of these stuffs. I remember my child coming home and saying that he wasn't allowed to go to the toilet the time he was pressed, because there was a certain time that he had to do that. Like, how do you do that? Like, there's no people don't pee at the same time. And that's just one of the annoying ones for me as a parent. But there are other ones I can't even start to talk about. So, these are places that we tend to have picked up these conditionings in our lives. Be aware. If you're raising a child, be aware. Moving on. The fourth one I'm going to talk about is societal conditioning. Okay, the other day on Clubhouse we were talking about authenticity in a fake world, because now we live in a world where people are tilted towards perfectionism, and this really is killing a lot of things in our world, no doubt. I mean, as a woman, I can tell you that there are so many things that the society has conditioned us to think. For example, the notion of a woman has to be slim, tall, with that hourglass figure. And to some of us who are, robust, so to say, and to some of us who don't fall into that category, how are we supposed to feel? Are we supposed to feel any less like, a woman? Who sold these things to us? Another thing you see is that boys are not allowed to express their emotions because a man has got to be a man. And that's not good. Because, we have a lot of them committing suicide. So many men under stress and intense pressure to just be that perfect man for their family. Why can't they just be themselves? It's one of the greatest conditionings that we have. Most destructive conditionings that we have, that men have to suppress their feelings. You ever heard the term men don't cry? I have 3 boys. I am definitely raising them to be better by the grace of God. So, these are just things that we may not be aware of, but I hope that I have opened your eyes to just kind of like see these things and be aware of them, and then, be able to tackle it. How about the fifth one? Self-conditioning. Now, this self-conditioning is very dangerous. Okay. Now, this is you just drumming everything about you down to one thing. Just that inner voice telling yourself you're not enough, you're not this, you're not that. I'm gonna be alone forever. Nobody's gonna love me. I'm not beautiful. I'm not enough. I feel like this is the most dangerous thing because you know what? If somebody said something to you, you can still fight that. But the one you're saying to yourself, oh wow. Self-conditioning. And what these things do when you say these stuffs to yourself or when you see yourself this way, it changes your perspective about life. The other day I read in the news that a woman so lovely, so beautiful, she was the US, she was Miss USA, an attorney, you know, good grades, good certifications, great job, great career, great life. And she committed suicide. Why? Because the way you see yourself impacts on how you feel. How you feel impacts on your thoughts. And how you think is who you are. What you think is who you become. So there has to be a shift. Be conscious of these things. Really, I'm going to say, are your thoughts really yours? Those beliefs, are they really yours? Did you pick it up somewhere? Think about this. It's time to let go of these conditionings by recalibrating your mind. How can you break free from your past conditions? So if you've ever been conditioned in all these ways I've talked about, I hope I've been able to raise your awareness. For me, I think that critical thinking is one of the things that can bring you out of these things. So you have to probe, ask the 5-layered why. Why am I doing this? Why do I want to get into this? Why? Just put your why on it. I feel like it starts from you being open-minded, rejecting those, old set of beliefs that you probably picked up as a child. I mean, some of us are raising our children in the way we're raising them because our parents raised us that way. But if I asked you now, what are the things you didn't like when you were growing up that your parents did to you? You'd probably have a whole list of them. And I'm not, trying to mess somebody's childhood up. I'm just calling your attention to something that is going on in our world today, something that can help us to control the amount of deaths and suicide and whatnot that are out there, especially for our young people. So reject those old things, those old beliefs, those opinions. Start to form yours critically. Those likes, those dislikes. You go and say, I don't like this particular food. And you're like, why? If I ask you why, I remember a certain young lady, asking, what kind of man is your spec? I said, dark, tall, strong. And she said, why? I said, I didn't know. But then I started to think about it and I realized that it was from an advert. It was from an advert when I was growing up. Ultimate, I think Gouda Ultimate, that I picked that up, And all the advertisements when I was growing up, we didn't have feminine. They were all dark and strong with 2 children, beautiful wives. And they have this beautiful home. So whenever I thought about marriage, I always thought of myself, right there in... It's funny, but it's true. I always thought of myself right there in advertisements with 2 children. Most of the time, a boy and a girl. And also, the condition your mind to think like having a boy and a boy or a girl and a girl isn't true, because most of the time, while we were growing up, it was the picture of a perfect family was a boy, a girl, mom and dad. black man. So, you never know. So where did you get your likes and your dislikes from? You might want to check that. Reject every default attitude too. Most of us have reacted to 1,000 of situations that, generally because we've seen somebody reacting that way to it. You want to check. Is it really yours? That belief that you have. You hear people say men has come. Half of them, they've not been hurt by men. And also, if you're out there selling out all these bad experiences, be careful, whose future you're ruining with that. I would say expanded awareness is also important. Pay attention to your life. Make sure that it's yours. Like, own it. Okay? Make sure you're the one calling the shots. You're the one making the decisions. Every experience that comes your way does not have to negatively condition you. Just learn your lesson and move on. Because you've been hurt in the past does not mean you should stay there. Let it go. We have constricted awareness and, of course, expanded awareness. Read books. Learn new things. Don't draw back when you feel insecure. Take leaps of faith. Be riskier than you already are. Don't stress. There's always a way of least action. Take it. Let your life align with the principles of God. It brings love, joy, peace, creativity, and all of that. You're at peace. After all, he's your maker. What can you do without him? So find peace. Find direction in God. He's ready to birth great things through you. I really do hope that you've had something to learn from this session, honestly. Thank you so much. Stay fierce.